So before we recap the Guardians and Yankees game, and stick around for the Yankees game because we saw a little bit of tension rise to the surface between Anthony Volpe, of all people, and a Royals player, we have to give an update on blackouts being removed from a few teams in 2025, and that's because the Bally Diamond Sports Group, the broadcasting company that has been servicing baseball games throughout the country for the last few years, they're going through bankruptcy, so they're still in contact with some teams, but other teams like the Guardians, Twins, and the Brewers are now contracted with Major League Baseball for the 2025 season. What does that mean? MLB has their TV rights, so there's not going to be any broadcasting blackouts. So if you're in Ohio and you want to watch the Guardians game against the Dodgers, you'll be able to do that. It's not going to be blacked out. I'm in Las Vegas. I have a bunch of teams blacked out, but if the Guardians come play the Padres or the Rockies, normally that would be blacked out. No more. In 2025, MLB will be producing and distributing the Guardians, Brewers, and Twins game. And I don't know if this is going to set the precedent. I don't believe that the Dodgers or the Yankees are ever going to give up their TV money because they make billions over the course of a decade. But if MLB somehow gets the rights to every single baseball team and blackouts are a thing of the past, like if that's Robert Manfred's send-off as a commissioner, I might forgive him for the piece of metal comments and the things that he talked about during the lockout. Maybe I'll forgive him. Blackouts are gone. Pace of play is way better. Attendance is up. He might go down as a good commissioner, which is crazy to say out loud. Now, without further ado, let's talk about the games from yesterday. And listen, I need a handwritten apology from the Detroit Tigers, sealed and stashed away from my future kin and children, because the 2024 Tigers have easily taken 5 to 10 years off my life. Explain that to my future family. By the way, yes, Steven Kwan is on base again. He's batting 500 in this series. He has a 9-game playoff hit streak. Manzo, that's back-to-back base hits. And thank the good Lord for Lane Thomas, because after J-Ram and Naylor wet the bed, Lane clutched up with the first run of the game. That's the first run that they've scored in 20 2/3, and their first run scored since game 1 of the series. Tanner Bybee, his command was all over the place. Like, usually he's effectively wild, not in this one. He could not locate the outside fastball to save his life. He loaded them up. Trey Sweeney does tie it with a sac fly, so you got to just kind of tip your cap to Tanner for getting out of this with just one run. As Torkelson, he got doubled off. J-Ram. It felt like the gates of heaven opened right in front of me. Finally, the bat spike that was needed in the worst way. He's been so frustrated with himself, and I was cautiously optimistic. Like, I was hyped up, but I wasn't really yelling because the Tigers will just not go away. They fight and they fight and they fight. McKinstry, he somehow went the other way to tie it. Cade Smith, thankfully, he shut it down after that, but he did give Hunter Gaddis some runners, and Gaddis could not strand them. Wencel Perez, I think, went 2 for 2 as a pinch hitter. That is an RBI to give the Tigers a lead. Carpenter, he hurt himself rounding third base. I'm praying that Carpenter's going to be okay because I don't want to beat the Tigers without him. He's a lot of fun to watch. I want the Tigers at full strength, but maybe that's just me. Now, Hunter Gaddis did get out of the inning with just the 1 run. Quan got on again. It seems like he just spawns in on base. AJ Hinch then went to Bo Brisky in the 7th versus David Fry. And what have I said before the season? Every day is Friday, the biggest swing of his life. The season is over without his heroic performance. It could have been 5-3 after that, but Colt Keith made a sensational play. He said, hey, Andres, this is how it feels when you rob me all the time. By the way, Andres is 2 for his last 28 dating back to the regular season. He has to be due, right? Clase thankfully got out of it in the 8th inning. A 1-0-1 cutter to Trey Sweeney. David Fry and Brian Rocchio, they pulled a rabbit out of their hats with a safety squeeze. There's a huge run because hold on, before I say that, Rocchio, he's been playing like a 10-year veteran. It's been very impressive to watch him just play like a vet, and he swam out the way to avoid the tag. He's been on base a bunch, and the reason why that was a big-time run is because Justin Henry Malloy, the rookie, he doubled. He then scored on a Jace Young chopper. That was Kerry Carpenter's spot in the lineup, by the way. Who knows what could have happened after that. 101 does end it. Matt Bailey, he couldn't check his swing, so the Guardians snap an 11-game losing streak in elimination games in the playoffs, and game number 5 will be on Saturday. We have Tarek Skubal, a.k.a. Thanos Skubal. He's going for the Tigers, and that's what it's all about. He has a 0 ERA this postseason. He's allowed 2 earned runs total his last 5 starts. It is going to be a war of attrition, and I can't wait. Ooh, things are going to get a little testy later in this game, so stay tuned for that. We have more chirping on Twitter, by the way, even after the game. Glaber, he let things off with a double. He's hustling out the box, so he's there. pretty easily, if I might say so myself. Juan, he found the hole between first and second, so it's 1-0 Yankees already. I'm going to skip the Aaron Judge double play because, yeesh, he's been so bad. Garrett Cole, he got his postseason ERA back under 3 with this gem of a start. 2 strikeouts in the first. Verdugo, later on, he beat out a double play, so he got to third base. So he's on base. He got to third on a John Birdie base hit to right field. Gleyber Torres, he's got the double and RBI single right there. He sees Michael Wacha pretty well, and I thought that this next ball was hit 987 feet without the wind. That ball is gone with ease, if I might say so myself. Judge, is this it? Is this the playoff buster? Which would not be good. If the Guardians advance, I do not want Aaron Judge to all of a sudden figure it out. Judge ended up scoring on a Stanton RBI bullet. He nearly hit 380 for the series with 4 RBIs. Check out John Birdie, by the way, the random first baseman. He just got plugged in there a few days ago. The snag, the step on the bag, and the throw, and then the drama popped off. Michael Garcia, in my opinion, had a late slide, but it's playoff baseball. Maybe I'm being a little bit, maybe I should react more to it. Maybe I'm not, because Volpe with a little elbow check and multiple tags and the pat on the back. I don't know if all of that was necessary, but Michael Garcia was on Twitter a few days ago kind of mouthing off Jazz Chisholm Jr. He's doing the same thing, but we know Jazz does that, and Jazz came over for a few words. Volpe, he's like shooing off Michael Garcia. Nothing came of that in terms of like a big brawl or anything like that. It was just pointless, and it kind of just extended Garrett Cole's inning, and Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino took full advantage. By the way, it was Vinny's birthday, so he gave himself a birthday RBI. Tommy Pham is 3 for 3 in this game off of Garrett Cole. He's kind of like the right-handed version of Rafael Devers. He cannot get Tommy Pham out. That's why Garrett is laughing. Another ball, I thought that was gone. It's their stadium, so they have no one to blame but themselves, but the wind stole multiple runs out of the hands of the Royals as Isbell flies out. Cole, he's fired up. The Yankees bullpen has been lights out all series long. Luke Weaver, aka Mariano Rivera, he pitched in all 4 games, racked up 3 saves and 5 strikeouts. The dude is an absolute maniac. He's got elite movement on the changeup. That fastball gets up to 97, 98. This is the 4th championship series for Aaron Judge and the Yankees since 2017. Is this the year? Now, one thing I do have to mention, sorry, Royals fans, but Bobby Witt Jr. was bad. 2 for 17 with 0 RBIs in the DS. But in general, the Royals scored 15 runs across all 6 playoff games. That is never going to cut it, and I just wanted to bring that up because here's Bobby's response. If I'm a Royals fan, I'm optimistic. You have Bobby as the leader. He's going to take this off the chin, and I feel like he's going to get even better somehow.
Part of the game, kind of something that will light a torch in you and leave you a bad taste for the future, because now for the Kansas City Royals baseball, this is what we want. This is what we're going to do every year. We're winning postseason. Now it's how far are we going to go. It's not how we're going to get there. It's how far we're going to go. And so that's what we're going to work for, and that's what we're going to do.
What is running through you right now?
Fired up. Had a couple IPAs, like with the boys, spraying some champagne. This is the greatest.
Now, in terms of what can change from the Royals moving forward, Michael Wacha has a $16 million player option. He had a 3.3 ERA over 166 innings, so he might opt out to try and go for a multi-year deal of $18 to $20 million a season. Adam Frazier, Renfroe, Chris Stratton, they all have options as well, so not a lot of change coming to the Royals going forward. And honestly, now that they've kind of felt that, they went from a 100-loss team to a playoff contender by spending money. If they spend a little bit more and Frank Mazzucato figures it out in the minor leagues and he's somewhat usable and the offense picks it up in 2025, at least for postseason sakes, the Royals could be back. Now, the final 2 things I want to talk about. Game number 5 is going today between the Padres and the Dodgers. It is in Los Angeles, so expect a lot of fun and some extracurricular activities from fans potentially. Now, there's also some history. It's the first time ever between 2 Japanese-born starters. You have Yamamoto versus Yu Darvish. It's going to be a blast to watch. Also, the Minnesota Twins are, in fact, for sale. The Pohlad family, I think that's how you say it, they bought the Twins for $44 million back in 1984, and it's easily going to sell for $1.5 to $2 billion. Holy return on investment. Things were looking great when they first bought them. They won a World Series in 87, then again in 1991, but they haven't made it past the Division Series since 2002, and at one point, they lost 18 playoff games in a row, which sounds impossible, but that did happen. And they haven't been top 15 in spending since 2010, 11, and 12, the days of Justin Morneau and Joe Mauer. So it's not like they're dead last in spending, but they refuse to go over $150 million. And it just seems like if you want to be the cream of the crop, you got to spend $200 That's the barrier of entry, at least from what I've seen lately. Like we do to end every single postseason recap, we guess the batter and that almost looks like Eloy Jimenez, but, oh no, wait, that's Isaac Paredes, right? This has to be Isaac Paredes because he's got that. Oh, it's not. So it is someone in the NL. It's not a third baseman. Elias Diaz? Is that Elias Diaz? I mean, the problem is in the past, this website hasn't updated to the point where if you got traded, they wouldn't say that you were on that brand new team, but they have Isaac on the Cubs, so maybe they finally updated the teams and everything like that. I'm going to go Elias Diaz because I used his MVP, his All-Star MVP card, and it kind of looked like that. It almost reminded me of Eloy Jimenez. I missed one. It did look like Isaac, but 2 attempts is pretty solid. I forgot to remind myself that the last few days, it's been playoff team, so the Cubs was a dumb choice with Isaac Paredes. So I'm assuming that this is another playoff pitch. Didn't this guy pitch? This literally looks like Clark Schmidt because he's got that little stutter step. It's not fully Mike Clevenger-like, but he does have the little penguin feet. What was that movie, Happy Dance or something like that? I'm pretty sure this is Clark Schmidt because he's faced the Guardians a bunch of times. Yep, this is Clark Schmidt. The little feet dance that he does, that was easy. Well, that does it for today's postseason recap. I appreciate you guys watching. I don't really have much else to say. These postseason recaps are fun, but also there's not a lot of substance. So if you guys have any other content ideas in mind, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.